Pringle Ponders Podcast.
Hello, welcome to episode number 1. In this episode, I want to give you a tip about hosting. I think this is one of the most important things, really. If you're thinking about starting a podcast, then remember that that podcast represents you and it represents your business or organization or whatever it is that you do, it represents that. So how it sounds and how you sound is a reflection of those things. Now, I know that right now we're in lockdowns and we've had various lockdowns because of COVID-19. And so everybody has had to communicate over the internet with Zoom and Skype and Teams and all of those things. And that's been brilliant. And they're really, really useful tools for conducting interviews and allowing us a global reach, really. We can talk to people on the other side of the world and have interviews that we perhaps couldn't get if the only way we could communicate is in person. So there's nothing wrong with that. But what I'm saying is, think about how you sound. So, for example, I've listened to people's podcasts who quite regularly will conduct an interview on Zoom, but they will just record from Zoom. So what I can hear is two people speaking over Zoom. Now, I don't know about other people, but two things strike me about that. One is, if I'm listening to your podcast for pleasure or leisure, some sort of distraction from the everyday, what people are doing every day at the moment is communicating on Zoom or Skype. And the last thing I want is more of that in my ears when I'm listening to your podcast. So the other thing is, yes, the other person is across the world and you need to speak to them on Zoom, but think about when you listen to Radio 4 or Radio 2 or whatever radio station you listen to. When they conduct interviews, most of the time, the host sounds beautiful and crisp and clear, rather like I do now, because they are recording from a purpose-built studio that sounds really nice and isn't sort of reflective and echoey. So they sound good. And because they sound good, that puts them and their radio station in a good light, and you subconsciously kind of believe in them more. And then you can forgive that the interviewee is, 600 miles away and couldn't get to the studio, so they're interviewing them over Zoom, and they might sound a bit crackly because they've not got a great microphone, and Zoom itself compresses the signal that comes from their microphone for good reasons. That's to stop extraneous noise and things getting in. But what it does is it leaves things sort of squashed. It takes the human voice and squashes it, so it doesn't sound as nice and as rich and as open as it does when you're recording in a lovely space like I'm in now. So those are the things to think about. And I think it's really important if you've got a big business and you want people to listen to your podcast and you're hoping that by listening to your podcast, they're going to engage in whatever it is that you do. If you sound crackly and weird and a bit distorted, or it sounds like you're in a really echoey space and it's a bit uncomfortable to listen to, that discomfort is going to translate into how they begin to judge you and your organization. So yes, of course, if your content is amazing, then maybe they won't notice that so much. But is it really worth the risk? So before you do go and make your podcast, think about setting things up so you can sound as good as you possibly can. And that does mean getting a good quality microphone and an audio interface and connecting it to your computer and finding a space that is not echoey. You can tell when someone's just sitting in their spare bedroom and there's not much stuff on the walls and it's kind of echoey. If you can find different types of microphones that maybe will reduce echo. If you get a good quality lapel mic, yes, you don't get the broader, richer tones of the human voice on those microphones, but it certainly would reduce some of the reverberation in the room because it doesn't pick up. It only picks up on what's quite close to it, those kind of microphones. There are many, many different things that you can do to make yourself sound better, and I won't go into the details about them now, but what you do need to do is make yourself, the host, sound great. You're the anchor. You're the person that's pulling all this together, and you need to sound awesome. Thank you very much.